Hello world, coming to you from Marina Del Rey, California. My name is Taft McWhorter. This is my beautiful wife, Dana McWhorter, who is also the choreographer, director, videographer, and awesome soulmate. So we're all kind of in a tough situation here, and our heart goes out to all of the people that are doing their best to make sure we are safe and healthy. And so thank you. We appreciate you. So our business is the art business. So we want to do our part and actually share a project with you that is an art project that anybody can do, from pretty young ages through adults, beginner artists, never painted before artists, artists that are professional artists, and this may be a fun project to incorporate a new style or a new technique. So before we get started on the materials, the number one thing is to have music. And that's just my personal opinion, but music to me helps me get in the rhythm, helps me kind of get into a flow and stop thinking so much. So Dana and I have a record collection, and so we've chosen to start off with Fleetwood Mac Greatest Hits Side 1. And so each time we do something different, change directions or whatever, we will pick a different record. And so it'll be us inviting you into our lives, into our apartment, and to our music. So here we go. Let's talk about the supplies. First, before you get any supplies, if you'll log on and look up a color wheel. The color wheel can be found, tons of them out there online. It's going to teach all of us a little more about how you combine colors. So that's one thing that you want to go ahead and look up and be prepared to refer to. So we're going to go into our materials. We've got just a plastic cup here with some water to clean our brushes. We've got a few plastic cups, extra plastic cups, because we're going to use them as a tool at some point. It doesn't have to be something that's disposable. It can be a plastic cup that you're gonna wash after it's done. The acrylic paint will come off if you wash it almost immediately. We've got masking tape to tape down our medium, which is watercolor paper. And I'm using Strathmore watercolor paper, and you can get it at pretty much any art store. A lot of times Michael's and Jerry's, these types of stores carry them. If you can't find any of this, if you've got a canvas laying around, or you can use copy paper, even if you only have copy paper. You want to have some kind of flat surface. This is just a cardboard cutout that's going to fit my watercolor paper. And you can use any flat surface basically that you can tape down your project, because when we get it wet, it's going to start to ripple, and you want it to dry and lay flat. And the only way we do that is by taping it down. You're going to want a cloth. This is just in lieu of using a lot of paper towels. It's a simple, inexpensive kitchen cloth. We've got a water bottle to help spray our surface if we'd like to get it wet. This is a palette knife. It's very similar to some spatulas, but it's basically just a flat surface that we're going to use to kind of pull the paint around on our watercolor paper or canvas. And so something similar to this flat surface. And then our brushes, I'm trying to use brushes that are probably out in your garage or in your paint supplies. These are kind of big brushes, small, medium, and large. And we're going to try and use all three of them, but if you only have one, you can make it work. It doesn't really matter. But you want a brush with a decent brush size on it. And we're gonna get to our paint. So this is Crayola watercolor, and it is awesome. All kinds of different colors, very inexpensive. You can find it at pretty much any art store, supplies, craft store. And we've got so many different places that are still open for pickup and delivery that you can get this item. Now we're gonna go to the acrylic paint. So I've got them in three sections of light, medium, and dark. But also we've got Apple Barrel, we've got Craft Smart, and then you've got Lucas Acrylic, and that's more from an art store. You do not have to have these exact colors. Pretty much if you just have a combination of 3 or 4 different colors, you can still do this project. But obviously these are the colors that I've chosen to kind of work on this project with. And you can refer back to your color wheel and see why I've chosen these colors. Thanks for joining us. I really hope that if it's something that appeals to you, you'll take some time and do a new art project. And for sure, if you do it and you post it on social media, tag us. You can post it even on this stream. That's round 1. We'll be right back for round 2.
Moments later.
All right, we're back for round 2. A little homage to our home state of Texas. Now we've got ZZ Top playing in the background. You ready to make some art? Here we go. We're gonna take our watercolor paper. We are going to tear off one page of it. We're gonna get our masking tape. And for this watercolor paper, the better side is the more rough, kind of grainy side. the side that faces up. If you're using copy paper, doesn't matter which side you use. If you're using canvas, obviously use the side that has the canvas side of it. Okay, we're gonna tape down our paper. Does not matter if it's straight on your cardboard or not, or whatever flat surface you're using. Mine will probably not be straight, and it does not matter. So one of our 2 rules, we have 2 main rules. One is don't get paint on anyone else or another surface. If it's on your hands, use your rag, but be careful with the paint. Rule number 2 is there are no mistakes in art. And that can be applied to life in certain ways, but the idea is that you just keep building on what you're working on, especially in abstract art, and you keep using the colors and the shapes and so on to build and build, and there is no wrong way to do this. So as you're creating your art, if you're unhappy with it, just keep working with it. Just keep working on it layer after layer, and I'm gonna show you how to do that so that even once this project or this video is over, you can go back to your own art projects and use the same strategy. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna get our smaller brush. This is maybe, I don't know, 1/2 inch wide. We're going to dip it in a little bit of water. First, we're gonna take the squirt bottle and we're gonna squirt misty spray, and we're gonna spray our watercolor paper just a little bit, not too much. You don't want it too wet. This is gonna help the paint move around. So then you're gonna go, take your brush, get a little water on it. We're gonna get the yellow. We're gonna get quite a bit of yellow on our brush. You see accidentally I went into the orange. It's okay, it's not gonna hurt that yellow. So then I'm gonna take it, I'm just gonna go and paint like so, just trying to get a lot of that yellow across the paper. There's a great program on ZZ Top on Netflix right now. Definitely all of you Texans should check it out, but anybody that loves music, great story about the uniqueness of that band. All right, so now we've got the yellow down. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not even gonna clean the brush. Some artists would say that's crazy, but sometimes it really adds to the texture of the colors. So I'm gonna put my brush now in the orange. And I'm just gonna go right over that yellow and just kind of start mixing it in. It doesn't matter where I do it, just throughout the piece. Get a little more water on my brush. I'm gonna go in and really get some orange on my brush here. I'm just trying to create a couple of different colors. You know, now we've got yellow, we've got some light orange. I'm gonna do a tiny bit of red to darken it up a little. You see, I'm just going back and forth and I'm just blending that color one stroke at a time. Now, the tough part about art, and this is one of the most important parts, is you have to let your art dry in order to do the next layer. And so, at this stage, I'm gonna put my brush in here, and just kind of let it sit for a minute. But the first stage, we're just gonna have something like that. It's got some light yellow and light orange in it. And we're gonna let that dry. And a lot of times, if you have another project ready to go, it can be the same exact project and you just have 2 pieces of art working at the same time. You can set this one aside and now go work on the other one while this one dries. So this is probably gonna take about 15 to 20 minutes of drying. Put it in front of a fan, blow on it, set it outside to speed up that process. But now we get to wait a little bit of time.
15 minutes later.
All right, here we go. I now have a cardboard with watercolor paper taped down to it. I've put watercolors on it, just a little bit of yellow and orange, and we let it dry. So now the paper is pretty flat, still has some ripples in it, but that's gonna help us with texture. But it's pretty dry to the touch. It's not damp, and we're ready for our next step. So we're gonna take our palette knife and we're gonna take a little bit of blue. We are actually gonna put it on a paper plate. You can use any flat surface you want, but I'm trying to use tools that hopefully you've got at home. So we're just gonna put a little bit of our lighter blue, or medium blue. Now, one of the keys in art, especially with abstract art, but any art for that matter, is you're gonna learn what contrast is. And you want to contrast your colors. So you want to go light, then dark, then light, and then dark. And every layer is gonna change from light to dark. Then it's creating contrast of colors of a lighter yellow with then a darker blue. By the way, we are now listening to Van Halen 2, Side 2. If you've never heard it, look it up and check it out. It's a pretty good album. All right, so we're gonna take our palette knife. We're also gonna say hi to Dana again. She's filming over from this direction while we have a camera here, and we're getting all kinds of different angles. The cool thing is Taylor McWhorter is going to edit this final product, and so it's really gonna be a cool family project. All right, so we've got our palette knife. We're just gonna kind of get it on the paint, kind of scrape it across the top of the plate so that now you've got it on your palette knife. All right, you see? Now we're just going to pull it across the paper. And this is the part that there are no mistakes. All right, so I know what I'm doing. So if you come up with a different look right now, it's not a bad thing. But we're only gonna do it in one area. We don't wanna do it all over the place. We wanna create some balance with these colors. So we're just gonna keep that blue, and I'm gonna do the same thing again. I'm just gonna take that palette knife and pull the paint off. And we don't have a lot of paint on it, but enough to pull across the paper. So again, I'm gonna do this. Get some of these things out of the way, maybe you can see a little better from here. I'm just pulling it across the page in this one corner. And maybe a little bit over here as the paint gets off of the, is taken off of the palette knife. All right, so now we're here. So here's where our handy rag comes in. Now we're gonna just pull the paint off of that, and it's pretty much clean. It can be set by the paper plate, stay clean. Now, while that section right here is drying, we're gonna work on this section. So let's get some purple involved. All right, so we're gonna put some purple on the plate again. Now listen to this, really good. Eddie Van Halen on the classical guitar. If you've never heard it, check it out. All right, here we go. Same thing, I'm just gonna take that paint and I'm gonna scrape it off onto the palette knife. And I'm gonna do this end over here. Again, we're kind of creating some balance. We've got some blue over here, we've got some purple over here. We don't want it to look the same. We want it to have its own kind of uniqueness. So some of these patterns are being made because that paper is wavy, and we want that. We want that to happen. And how about even this? Maybe a touch of purple right there, just a tiny bit, just to kind of break it up. What I mean by break it up is when I push that paint over the blue, that purple gets kind of moved around, and then you have so many areas that go from yellow to blue to purple that gives it some real character. So the more I move my palette knife over it, it also is kind of drying that paint. So that paint is going to dry faster. So again, we're gonna take this, dip it in our water, and it's for the most part clean. You see a little bit of purple, but it's drying. Now, we said we were gonna light and dark and light and dark. So we did the light yellow and orange. We've done the darker, a little bit darker colors with the purple and the blue. So I'm gonna take some white, and this is just that Craft Smart white. I'm gonna pour it in onto my plate. Now I'm gonna take a medium-sized brush. This would work with a bigger brush. It would work with a smaller brush. And I'm just gonna dip it in like this so it just gets the tips of the paint. Now, I'm gonna start kind of dabbing it into the purple and the blue, and as that happens, if it mixes a little bit because the purple and blue are still wet, it's okay, it's not gonna be a bad thing. So I'm gonna break up some of those colors, all right? So that purple was just all very much purple, just purple, so I'm gonna kind of breaking it up now. I'm gonna also do that in the areas with the yellow and the orange. Give it a little more contrast. And at this point, you see some of my paint is mixing in that white. It's okay. That's gonna give it more character. Don't be afraid to let your painting evolve. All right, a little more white. Break up some of those areas, give it a little more contrast. All right, now we're gonna let that dry for a second. Not long, but a few minutes. We'll be right back.
5 minutes later.
All right, we're back. Here we go. Now we're listening to Billie Eilish, Don't Smile at Me. Thanks, Taylor, for that recommendation. It's a great record. All right, so we've got a lot of light colors going on, and we've got the blues and the purples kind of just coming through right now. So what I want to do is I want to add another color, but I want it to be, again, another contrast to that lighter yellow, orange, and white. So we're going to go with pink. All right, we're going to take another brush. This time we're going to take a bigger brush, but we're going to use the same technique. So I've just dipped it in the paint. It's just on the ends. And so now I'm just gonna go in the areas of the lighter colors. Just kind of lay down some color. And right now, I'm trying to stay a little bit parallel to the paper, but it isn't important to do that. It is just kind of where I'm headed in my direction. A little more paint. But you see how all of a sudden the yellows come alive by adding that pink, because it looked kind of washed out. Now that we've added the pink, now those colors are brightening up. And so we're just kind of, again, we're not going everywhere. We're picking little areas that we want to add some color to, but we're not over the whole painting. So that, what that does, it leaves us the contrast, but it also leaves us what we call negative space. And you want some space that's not so busy, so that the whole thing doesn't just jump out at you. You want to be able to focus on certain areas with a lot of color, and by leaving some of these other areas lighter, you're able to see that. All right, so see, now we've got some more color into it, all right? We're actually almost looking like maybe a great sunset with some clouds working there. But we do need to go back a little more towards the darker colors to add a little more character to it. So I'm gonna get the royal blue this time. And I am gonna use a different paintbrush. So this was just in the cup of water. Now, it's a little damp, but that's okay. That's not gonna work against this. So now I'm dabbing in the blue, which maybe we should set this here so you can actually see a little better. Dabbing in the blue, and so here we go. Now I'm gonna add some blue to it. And it's gonna mix a little with that pink. Don't worry about that. Don't let that bother you. We are just enjoying the process at this point. So you see how we're kind of darkening up some of those areas again that were lighter, but we've still left some areas in here that aren't too busy. Give it some room to breathe. All right, so I do think at this point now, once again, we're gonna let that dry. So if you have another project, go back to that one, and we're gonna come back to this one in just a minute. See you in a few.
More moments later.
All right, we're back. And we are listening to Grease, the album. Shout out to my soulmate, Dana. All right, so we're getting really far on this project at this point. So one of the things I want to point out is to go back to our color wheel and see what I've done so far. So I started out with some yellows. Sorry, we're gonna go across the color wheel. We're gonna go like this. Yellow and orange over to blue and purple. And so as you see, I laid down that yellow and orange, and then I put in some blues and purples, and I added some pink in there just for fun. For the most part, and some white, but for the most part, I've stuck with this kind of concept from yellow and orange across to blue and purple. But we're gonna throw another color in there in a little bit, just for fun, and it's really gonna brighten it up. But our next step is we're gonna take our cups. All right, we're ready with our cups. We're going to put some white paint in our plate or whatever we're using to store the paint, and then we're just gonna kind of dab it on the ends of the cup. Now you're thinking, oh, this sounds like some crafty, elementary project, which it is, and it is a great tool for any of us to use at any age. So I've got it on the cup, and so now I'm gonna lay it down on the paper in an area that has a lot of color to it. I was gonna go there, but it's got a little more white there. So I'm actually gonna go up here to this, and I'm gonna kind of move it around. It doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, we don't want it perfect. We don't want the circle to go all the way around, and we don't want it to match up in every single place. We wanna give it some really good texture to it, or separation to it. All right, so we've got the white, so now we're gonna lay down the yellow. The orange. We're gonna do the same thing with the orange, a different plastic cup, or just a regular cup that you're gonna wash immediately after. Same thing, we're just gonna kind of go around in a circle, and we're gonna put that color down over the white and around the white. We're gonna take our palette knife again, we're gonna go into that yellow again. Got all my tools in your view, like this, and then this time we're gonna go kind of like this, just up and down. And a little bit of orange in there. Again, break up those places that have the big colors. All right, now we're gonna clean our palette knife like this again with our rag. So the last part we're gonna do to this to really give it some color, to open it up and give it some, you know, a whole contrast from the color wheel, is a little bit of light green. We're gonna take one more cup and do the same thing. We're just gonna get it on the edge. Then we're gonna add it here again. Same thing with the circle. Just like that, not a lot, just enough. Give it a little character, a little color. And then we're gonna do the same thing with a palette knife. Here we go, just that much on the palette knife. We're just gonna pull it across, add a little bit of that green into the painting in a couple of different areas. And for the most part, we are done. Now, how about that? We've spent not a ton of time, but we've learned a couple of techniques. The next time we create a painting, which we will do another project for you, you'll take some of these same techniques and use in a different painting. But for people that really like abstract work, this is great. This is a great finished piece. But if you really are more of a person that likes more realism and you want it to be a horizon or a beach scene, you could turn it like this. You could start taking some brown paint and put it in the lower section. Maybe a little bit of blue in the middle section, and then leave all this as you would a sunset. And I might do that and post something later as well. But for right now, I want to say I'm very happy with this piece. It has a lot of color to it, a lot of feeling, but it also has some areas in here that just don't have too much paint and too much business, and you've got a good contrast of the dark colors and the light colors and the complementary colors, which are going to be the purples and blues with the oranges and yellows. So now again, my hope is that you'll take this, fill some of your free time in doing a creative project, and definitely post and let us know. We'd love to see your art. We care about you, and we're all going to do everything we can do to make it through this and be stronger on the other side. So from us to you, have a good day, be creative, be productive, and stay healthy. Love you guys. Bye.